Hey, it's Alex from Android Central. We're here at MWC 2016 with Sony, taking a look at this, the new Xperia X. It's a new hero-level phone from Sony. So a familiar kind of design language that we've seen from Sony before with omnibalance and this angular design. It's a little bit more curved this time around though. We have this sort of tapered glass towards the edge, which is a little bit like 2.5D glass. We have the trim around the outside, which now is kind of a polycarbonate. And around the back is this really nice feeling brushed metal back. So taking a look around the outside of the device, we've got a dedicated camera button, usual volume rocker, and of course a power button with a fingerprint sensor built in. Around the back, we've got a 23 megapixel camera. This is an updated version of the sensor that was in the Xperia Z5, of course with LED flash as well, and a 13 megapixel front-facing camera around the front. Also around the front, we've got a really nice looking 5-inch 1080p display. Really bright and nice looking. Of course, reusable on-screen buttons and front-facing speakers, like we come to expect from Sony. And on the software side, it's a little bit changed up from what we saw with Marshmallow on the previous Xperia phones. Not a million miles away from stock Android, but definitely we've got this unique Sony style going on with it, and some new wallpapers there to play around with as well, all looking really cool. So some redesigned icons, but otherwise not a million miles away from either stock Android or what we've seen from Sony UIs in the past. But the big deal with this phone, I think, is the camera. Again, similar kind of sensor to the Z5, but with a redesigned camera app and really impressive motion tracking autofocus. And like other Xperia phones, it takes photos in 8 megapixels by standard, but you can go all the way up to 23 megapixels if you want to, and capture just an enormous amount of detail. So other key things for this phone, of course, micro USB around the bottom. This phone isn't water resistant. For that, you'll have to look to the X Performance. That's the higher end version of this. But on the inside, we've got a Snapdragon 650, which is the new mid-range chip from Qualcomm. So we're not quite at the very cutting edge of Qualcomm chips, but still plenty of performance to go around here. And on the inside, we've also got 3 gigs of RAM, 32 or 64 gigs of storage. That's backed up by a micro SD slot as well. So 2-day battery life is something else Sony is coming back to with this range. With a 2620 milliamp hour battery inside, and the promise of up to 2-day battery life again, which is good, since we didn't really see that with some of the Z5 and Z3 Plus series. So there are actually 2 versions of the Xperia X. There's the regular X, which runs a Snapdragon 650, but the higher end is the Xperia X Performance, which is a Snapdragon 820, also adds water resistance, and there are some fancy brushed patterns on the back of the metal. Otherwise, completely identical. So there you go, a very quick first look at the Sony Xperia X here at MWC. Thanks for watching.